Despite the narrow scope of study with an undergraduate degree, I knew a few things about the sea, but nothing could prepare me for what I would encounter. Coming from a small California town, near the coast, you can appreciate that the sea has been a big part of my life since learning to swim at a relatively young age. I spent some time overseas in Afghanistan in non-combat roles, but I really distinguished myself doing humanitarian aid missions to the Caribbean. My performance impressed some of my squad commanders, and before long, I was assigned to a Special Department of Defense task force along with a group of academics and researchers from various universities in the UK and the US. I remember the briefing being one of the strangest ones I had ever attended, as I, along with my 300+ squad mates, were required to each sign not one, but 2 memorandums of understanding not to divulge anything we would learn in the next hour. I remember it to this day. Our commanding officer was a short, squat bulldog of a man. He was a veteran of 100 conflicts, some that you've never heard of, a few that didn't even happen according to official government logs. Many of the men in the large auditorium didn't fit the regular army look. Many of them had scraggly beards, wild hair, scars on their faces, and a few were even missing teeth. Special Forces. Antonio nudged me. Of course, Antonio isn't his real name, but let's just call him that for now. He was one of my squad mates and one of the best friends that somebody could ask for. He, like myself, was curious as to the secrecy behind this briefing. Alright kids, before it was pilots and sailors, lending a helping hand in hearts and minds, but this time it's different. Some of you, and most of you, in fact, aren't going to be familiar with this goat rodeo. The CO said. His cold blue eyes seemed to have a light of their own under the projector light. I looked at Antonio and he just looked as curious as I was. 2 years ago, a research vessel containing close to 20 scientists and grad students from the US disappeared for 2 weeks within the Antarctic Circle. The vessel, with a total of 3 survivors, were found aboard what was left of said vessel, while their colleagues suffered a terrible death. Pausing before continuing, I could see he took this very seriously, as most other things. Now, the official story given to the relatives of the deceased and to the media through our channels was the vessel and all aboard ran into intense weather and struck an iceberg, with most of the crew dying on impact and the remainders dying of hypothermia, with the exception of the survivors, of course. Gentlemen, I am here to tell you that story was total bullshit. Pausing again, I could see the old man taking a deep inhalation before continuing. We have reason to believe in a damn